Now available in paperback and e-readers. Isis, Bride of Dracula. The Goddess Next Door and John Haynes team up to take on the Dark Vampire Lord in this action-packed Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Bride of Dracula in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today. Back in February of 2017, I made a video calling out the racism on the CW's Riverdale. Now, on that episode of Riverdale, they featured Chuck Clayton, the only black male character in the Archie Comics universe, as a black brute. And in that episode, Chuck Clayton decided that he was going to lie on his penis and say that he had sex with Veronica Lodge and gave her a sticky maple, and present this information on social media. Now, when I called that racism out on that episode, many people castigated me, saying that Riverdale was just a television show and that I didn't know what I was talking about. Now, a couple of months later, Bakari Henderson was brutally murdered in a Serbian bar in Greece, all for taking a selfie with a white Serbian girl. Now, what do these two events have in common with each other? Well, when it comes down to the show Riverdale, they were trying to say that Chuck Clayton could get away with saying that he had had sex with this white woman, and there would be no sort of consequences as related to his race. That he would sit there and just lie on his penis talking about how he had sex with this white girl, and white men would not come after him. According to them, these white women would go out and be upset about it, and they would try to humiliate him, but there would be no other violence than that. We see in real life with what happened to Bakari Henderson that isn't the case at all. If a black man goes out here and he goes into an area that is predominantly white, and he interacts in a way that is considered offensive to white men, what's going to happen to him is that he is going to put his life at risk. And he may wind up dead because he doesn't understand the unwritten social rules regarding black men. And the writer of this Riverdale episode clearly showed a point that I had made, that black women cannot teach a black man or a black boy these unwritten social rules, because she does not understand that the racism that black men experience is completely different than the racism that black women experience. And that was clearly shown to me by that script that was written regarding Chuck Clayton. This female who wrote this script only thought that the consequences would be Betty and Veronica humiliating Chuck Clayton, but a black man like myself would understand, if this black man were to go out here and to start lying about having sex with white girls that he didn't have sex with, the chances of him winding up in a body bag increased 1,000%. Because when it comes down to white women and black men, a lot of white racists have a serious issue with that. And this is something that only a black man understands, because only black men understand what it means to be a black man, what experiences a black man has, and what racism we encounter. Because when it comes down to black men, we are seen as enemies of the state, and we are seen as a threat no matter where we are. And that was something that was not conveyed in that episode of the CW's Riverdale, that Chuck Clayton could go out here and lie about his sexual encounters with a white woman, and that there would be no consequence behind it. That's what makes that episode very dangerous to watch, because a lot of young people, especially young black males, are going to watch that show and think, oh, all you're going to get is some syrup poured on your head and handcuffed in a hot tub. No, it goes a lot worse than that, and Bakari Henderson's tragic murder shows us what possibly could happen to a black man when he doesn't understand the unwritten social rules regarding how black men interact with white people and other non-black people in society. Moreover, how we interact with the women in white society and other non-black society. Because when it comes down to these racists and their women, a lot of the beta males They get very upset when they see a black man out here with their women, and they will go towards participating in acts of violence, including murder, if they see this man getting attention from their women. This was something that black female writer of this who wrote that episode featuring Chuck Clayton didn't understand, and she would never understand because, again, the racism that black men experience in the world is completely different than the racism black women experience. And you have to understand the difference between the two if you're going to write a story featuring a black character. Because when it comes down to black men, again, black men are seen as a threat and an enemy of the state. And that's why they have to understand the unwritten social rules regarding being a black man in the world. And those rules can only be taught by another black man, because only a black man understands these things. And that's another thing that was another big issue with that whole Riverdale episode that I had, because to say Chuck Clayton was raised by his father like he was in the Archie comics, you would think he would understand. His father would have sat him down and told him about these unwritten rules to make sure that he would save his life, because that's what those rules would do. They would help you save your life. And that's why I had another big problem with that Riverdale episode. And just seeing what happened to Bakari Henderson, sadly and tragically, shows us what can happen to a black man when he doesn't understand the unwritten social rules that regard black men, and why it's important for every black man to go out of his way to teach a black boy or a young black man these unwritten social rules before he goes out into the world. If you'd like to help me make more videos, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you'd like to try some of the SJS Direct Universe titles, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, and the Temptation of John Haynes, you can click the link to Amazon.com in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.